So today we are going to see about how to generate code from the patterns, okay, various patterns. So there is one file called CS patterns. So what you have to do is that you have to extract that into CS patterns folder. So once you extract that, okay, you will get the CS pattern. So basically it has got all the various patterns in it, but we have seen only certain patterns like adapter, bridge, builder, and then comes factory. Then we have seen about observer, then we have seen about singleton, state. Okay, so these are the patterns which we have seen. So whatever we have seen, you try to test it out initially. Okay, so now what you have to do is that, so the second step is basically you have to unzip the folder, then start a new Enyerprise Architect. So what you have to do is that you need to open the project, and then you have to start with a new file, say testing patterns. Okay, so testing patterns, I'm just changing the location here. I'm just changing the location to, sorry, I want it here. So testing patterns. Okay, so now the next thing which you have to do is that you will be prompted to add the technology. So in that you have to select the basic UML. So we are planning to select all the diagrams. So here we are planning to do is that we are going to select this basic core modeling, and in the core modeling we are selecting all the diagrams. Okay, and click OK. So all the corresponding diagrams will be generated. You all know that already. So all the 4 steps are done. So once these are done, the next thing is nothing but we need to go to the view. Okay, so it's like, in the view there is something called more project tools. So we need to click on that. In that we need to select the project resources. Okay, so a new project resources window will be generated or will be shown in front of you. So basically here what you have to do is that you have to go to, just a second. So now we are going to see how to add the design patterns onto our system. So we have something called in the start. So in Enyerprise Architect 13.5, in the start tab you will be able to see these resources. When you click on the resources, you will get a lot of resources here. So in that you have to select this patterns. So these are the patterns which we use for the design patterns. Enyerprise Architect 13.5. In that you have to import the pattern. So select these patterns and say select the patterns which you require. So probably say adapter pattern, bridge pattern, builder pattern, and I'm going to select a few. Say observer pattern, singleton pattern, state pattern. Say I'm going to select these patterns and I'm importing them. Just give them some time, it will take some time. Okay, so it is actually, yeah, so these are the various GoF patterns. When you see here, it is basically created as 3 different styles. Like as you see in the GoF, it is basically automatically created as a creational pattern, behavioral pattern, and the structural pattern. So in the behavioral pattern you have this state and observer which we have seen, and in the creational pattern we have builder and singleton, and in the structural pattern you have adapter and bridge. And one more thing I'm planning to import. Let me see whether there is factory. Yes, there is factory, and there is a builder pattern. Builder we have already given, so I think we forgot the bridge. Bridge is already there, right? So factory. So factory is the one which I have not included, I guess. So let's see. Yes. So whatever patterns which we have seen, it is here now. So this is the first step which you have to do. Now what you have to do, so drag and drop the patterns with the class diagram, and now what you have to do is that wait. So now you can actually, so the next step which is given here is drag and drop the patterns. So what you could do is you can actually go here and say it is a domain class diagram, click on the domain diagram. So now I have just tried drag and dropping the, I'll just keep this domain objects here. So I have just dragged and drop it here. So this is nothing but the observer pattern, okay, and you can save them. Okay, so now if I want to create the domain model and say if I want to drag and drop the state model, so here it is context, state, etc. Yes, so to the current diagram. So what happens is that this is your this is the state diagram. So like that you can actually just drag and drop. So what happens is that correspondingly whatever be the diagram that has to be used, that diagram will be actually seen here. Okay, so this is how you have to do and generate the code, okay, and examine syntax of the following patterns. Diagrams here. Then when you go back to the project browser and in the domain, so this is your domain model. So in your domain model you can add the diagrams in different domain models. That is up to you. And then what you have to do is that go to the code engineering. In the code engineering you have to generate the source code. When you generate the source code, click and just generate. Okay, so when you generate you will get the concrete.cs. okay, so probably now I can create like this. So for each code you will have to generate the code. So you're generating the code for each one. Okay, yeah, so it's done. So now when you go back to the folder, it is actually in the part, it's actually here in the here in the CS pattern. I hope I have done it in the CS pattern. Okay, so you'll be able to see all the patterns which are generated here, and you can open the pattern. Say if it is you can open directly the pattern in the Visual Studio, and you can modify the pattern accordingly and use it in the way you want. So this is the way you will be generating the code from the from the design patterns. Okay, so here this way you have basically used both the Enyerprise Architect and you have converted that particular code. You have generated the Visual Studio code from Enyerprise Architect to Visual Studio. Okay, so thank you so much. If you have any doubts, let me know.